If you were no longer affected by the judgment of others and you stopped judging yourself, would you make different choices? Everyone has the potency to make inspired choices. Get ready to listen, share, and experience the creativity that is you. Now, here's the host of Inspired Choices Radio Show, Possibilities Coach Christine McIver.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I am your host, Christine McIver, and tonight we have another great radio show lined up all for you. So what is going on in your world? What is happening? What is happening in your life, in your body, and in your business? Is this something that you desire to have different? Well, tonight we're going to be talking about ways that you can make things different with your business. Yes, tonight I'm talking about business. Last week I talked about business because I love business. And it may not be everybody's gig, but it is my gig. So before we get into tonight's show, I just would like to tell you a little bit about myself. I am a possibilities coach. And what I do in the world is I work with individuals, with organizations to create different possibilities. That might be in their personal life, that may be in their business life, that may be with their lovers, that may be with their ex-lovers, that may be with family members. It might be with going through grief. Whatever that is, I know that we can together create new possibilities. I am an Access Consciousness Certified Facilitator. I'm an energy healer, a radio show host, and a producer. I love to do lots and lots of different things. Some of my most favorite things that I create in the world, first of all, I have a program called the Pleasure of Business. And this is a 24-week program where we dive in deep into all things business. It's a step-by-step show and tell program where we talk all about everything you can imagine in business, and you get a hands-on training. I just absolutely love doing that class. We do that once a week, and you can actually, I'll tell you a little bit about some specials. You can actually get that class. It's on sale right now. I'll tell you a little bit about that more in the next part of the show. Another program that I have is called Divorce with Dignity, and this is where I work with individuals and possibly couples or families to support them in changing a relationship, the dynamic of a relationship. Now, this could be a relationship that you are having come to an end with a family member or a business partner or perhaps someone that you were married to. You know, we can all move forward. Relationships change all the time, but a lot of the time we usually blow them up before we actually walk away, and we usually don't end them with the same amount of kindness that we started them with. So that's a program I love to tell people about. The last thing I'd like to tell you about, and then we're going to jump into the show, is I do facilitate the Access Bars class and the Foundation class from Access Consciousness. And these two classes seriously have contributed so much to my life and to people's lives all around the world. And Access Consciousness is the modality of Access Consciousness is to really invite you in to know what you know. And these two classes contribute to that massively. I have a bars class coming up this Friday, December the 1st, and then a foundation class December the 2nd through the 5th, I believe it is. So if that's something you're looking into or you'd like to know more about, please feel free to reach out to me about any of the programs I've mentioned, and I'd be happy to bring you in and let you know all about it. So tonight, 10 ways to make your business more pleasurable. Now, last week, the radio show was Business is Not Your Friend, and I kind of kicked if you were listening live, if you were contributing, if you were present in the chat room, I kind of kicked a lot of butt in that show. So that might be a show that if you didn't listen to it after this one, I'd suggest you go and listen to that one because I think the two kind of dance pretty good together. So tonight, what I'd like to ask you is, do you actually desire to have more pleasure with your creations or with your business, with your life? When our business is flourishing, we definitely have more pleasure with our lives. And this is what I'd love to invite you into. And if you're willing to stick with me through the show and really look at these 10 different ways that I think can definitely contribute to anyone in business, you might find that you'll be starting off the new year with much more pleasure in your life. So let's jump into this show. All right, so the very first thing is, have you ever imagined, so I've got a question for you, have you ever imagined that you could have pleasure in your life, with your business? Have you ever actually looked at the possibility of having pleasure with your business? You know, a lot of people, when I talk about the pleasure of business, they look at me like, this doesn't compute. Like, business and pleasure don't actually go together. And it's really, really interesting. So how many people are operating from the space of the decisions, the conclusions, or, you know, riding other people's coattails that business is hard or business is difficult, or, you know, when you're in your own business, everything's on your shoulders, right? And where we don't allow that pleasure to possibly come in. And I'd like to challenge that. I'd like to challenge that business can be pleasurable. It may not be for everyone, but I do have a great deal of pleasure with it, and I love to share what's pleasurable and some of the tools that I've learned to utilize over the years that create even more pleasure in my business. Now, if you come from the space that you have to have pleasure 24/7 with your business, and otherwise it's not worth it, you know, that's a big conclusion, right? That can actually stop any amount of pleasure to come in because you've put parameters around how it has to show up. If you have a beautiful sex life, do you expect it to be pleasurable 24 hours a day? Likely you're not having sex 24 hours a day. So to expect to have pleasure 24 hours a day with your sex life, it doesn't really compute, right? Well, the same thing can be said of your business. You're not doing your business 24 hours a day, and some days there might be challenges around it. But this is about stepping into having more pleasure with your business, more pleasure than perhaps you have today. So the very first thing that's probably going to mess your minds up a little bit, the very first thing that I would like to share, the very first one is make your business more productive. Now, Christine, as soon as I wrote that down, I went, oh gosh, I could just hear what people are going to be thinking and saying. And perhaps it's because I thought the same too, is that how is it more pleasurable if I have to make it more productive? Okay? So here's the thing I see a lot of people doing with their business is they're kind of they're scrambling. They're forever scrambling to try to get something moving or to generate income with different ideas. And it's like they're popping from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, and they've not fully built the structure underneath that one particular item that they'd like to create business with. So that's one of the things that we talk about a great deal in the pleasure of business. It's really about building that structure, building that platform off of which you can create your business. So the very first person that I learned business from was my father. And, you know, my father had his own construction business. And I can remember a lot of the things that he built. You know, he built a shed, first of all, that he could store his vehicles and his tractors and so on in. He had an office, so that was part of building the structure. He had the tools that he needed in the office. He had a typewriter. He had an adding machine. You know, he had pens and papers. So he had that all taken care of. He had his bank account set up for the business. He had business cards made. Those for him, and now he started his business back in the 60s. So those for him were the things that started to build the structure. And that, by having those things in place, that supported his business in being more productive, right? So he wasn't working off of the kitchen table. He had a separate place to work. Now, I started my business on my kitchen table, so it's not that you can't do that. But if you desire to be more productive, you want to look at, okay, so what's required here? So what is it that you do in business that you know right off the top of your head would help you to be more productive if you really booked out the time to do it? The first thing that comes to mind, write it down. Write it down. And would you be willing to set that time aside in order for you to get that structure in place so you can be more productive? This is not about you having to do more and do more and do more, all right? Now, unless you're somebody that's not working in your business, therefore it can't be pleasurable when you're not creating or possibly not making money from it, so you might need to look at that. But it's about putting that structure in place so that your business can run more smoothly. If your business was like a vehicle, you would need to put oil in the vehicle, you would need to put gas in the vehicle, you would need to ensure that the tires were filled up correctly, you would absolutely make sure that, the motor was running well, that the exhaust was running. You would make sure that the tools, which is your vehicle, was all ready to go. That's one of the greatest things that you can do for your business is make it more productive so that it actually can produce with more ease and pleasure. And the old saying, sometimes you need to slow down to speed up. This is one of those things. It's a matter of slowing down so you can get some of these things in order so that you can put that business out there with more ease and pleasure. When someone's asking you about your service or your product, you've got all your nuts and bolts in place. You've got the write-up. You've got the where they can connect to find out more information about it. You've got the payment options available. You have everything set up so that it can be more productive. That's number one. Number two is have your own hours. Set your own schedule. So for you, in your business, maybe 9 to 5 doesn't work for you. Maybe you prefer 7 to 3, or maybe you prefer 7 to 5. What is it? What is your schedule asking for with your business? Okay, you might do a business where you actually get the most productivity is from 4 to midnight. What is it? Be willing to do your business your way. So setting your own schedule in that way makes a huge, huge difference. Be willing to check in with your body. If you're a morning person, don't pretend that you have to wait to 9 o'clock to start doing your business. Your business and your body may more productively work from 5 o'clock in the morning until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. What is true for you? Ask yourself. And if you have a hard time kind of figuring that out, look at when you're doing your business, when have you been most productive? When are you most productive? Now, there are times when you may have a general set time, and then you might find, depending on maybe when there's more quiet in the house or when there's less people around, that you might find that, sometimes, a couple nights a week when the family's all gone, from 8 o'clock at night to 11, I am so productive. I get so much done. But my daytime is best early morning during the week. Be willing to look at really what that looks like for you. For me, I'm much more a morning person, so I will often, I'll be at my desk earlier in the morning and I'll be working, and then by about 5 or 6 at night, I start to get tired. I'm like, okay, I'm pretty much done. Now, I've got to say that there are some nights where I'll get in front of the computer, at 8 o'clock at night, and I'll work away till like midnight. Sometimes it's quieter at night, and I get more done because there's less activity to draw my attention away. So those are the first two things. To make your business more pleasurable is you really want to learn how to dance with your business. Okay, we're going to go for our first break. I can't believe it. We've got more to get through. I want to tell you about some specials I've got going on, and I'd love to hear from you. Please join us in the chat room with any of your comments or questions. They always do contribute to the show, and I'm so grateful when you join me. All right, everyone, you are listening to the Inspired Choices radio show, and tonight, 10 ways to make your business more pleasurable. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on the past or what others think. What would our lives be like if we made choices based on what we desire in this moment? By tuning in to Inspired Choices radio show with Possibilities Coach Christine McIver, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to do just that. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to create the life and living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices radio show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you ready to have pleasure with your business? Yes, I said pleasure with your business. The Pleasure of Business a la carte will surprise you with topics like meet yourself in the boardroom, money, services, and you. Expand your visibility. The pleasure of communication. The pleasure of Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Christine McIver has so much pleasure with business and loves teaching all things business. Beginning a new business? Desiring to expand a current business? Or looking to resurrect a business that has been dormant? This program will get you fired up and bring more pleasure than you have ever imagined. Exhausted with your excuses for not creating a phenomenal business? Join now for all the pleasure with business. Pleasure of Business a la carte gives you total choice for what you desire and what your business requires. That's 24 weeks of different topics to choose from with weekly calls, audio and video recordings, and PDFs. This class will have you dive right in and use tools to create the business that has been speaking to you. Go to inspiredchoices.ca for full details or join the Facebook page Pleasure of Business a la carte. Now is the time for you and your business.
This is Inspired Choices radio show with Possibilities Coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program, call in the U.S. 815-880-8255. In Canada, 613-800-8736 or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine@InspiredChoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. We are talking about 10 ways to make your business more pleasurable this evening. And before the break, we went through number 1 and number 2, and we're going to jump in right away with number 3. So number 3, and then I'm going to answer some of the things in the chat room that are coming up, which is cool. So number 3 is truly being willing to follow what turns you on. Truly following what turns you on is critical. There's so many people that get excited about their business, and they get excited about creating something. And as I speak to them maybe a couple years down the line after they've been in their business, they start to tell me about what they think they should be doing. They may not use the word think, but they'll be like, well, I've tried this, and I've tried that, and I've tried this. And then I take them back to the moment, and I'd love for you to do this right now, is tell me about the moment when you that very first idea about starting your business. What was it? What turned you on? What lit you up? Tell us about that. And when you can get reignited with that moment, the moment that your business first came to you, around what it was that really started to fuel that desire to have your business, you begin to tap back into what it was for you. So that you come out of maybe doing what everybody else is doing and following what everybody else says will make you money, right? What if you are actually doing what gives you pleasure in your business so that your business does become more pleasurable? Because, guys, this is all about you. This is not about anybody else. And when you're in that space, it's absolutely amazing how things can start to change and grow, and the business can begin to flourish. So we have Faith in the chat room. She says, I think I'd be more productive if I stop trying to start before 1 p.m., say 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. Sounds great to me, especially if I had all the things ready to press play before 3 p.m. And I said, great, so what's required for everything to be press play ready? So when you come to that point, you want to look at, okay, what would that take? And she says, I'll keep asking, but what's really popping for me right now is that I can create at night when I'm most creative and save it all so I can copy and paste and post the next day when my energy is high and I'm ready to engage. That's fabulous, Faith. So really knowing what will work for you. You can design this any way you desire. But what I really want to encourage you, Faith, and everyone listening, is be upfront with yourself. Really, truly say, okay, am I really being productive? Does this really work for me? And be willing to evaluate that as you go forward. And that leads us right into number 4. And number 4 is be willing to be flexible. Be willing to be flexible with your business. As you create and as you come from this space of, like Faith has said, that this is what she thinks would work for her, then evaluate it as it goes forward. Is this working? What's missing? What needs to change? And be willing to really move with the energy of what it's speaking to you about, okay? Because there may be tweaks down the line. There may be things that you'll need to do differently. One of the biggest things that I found is when I first started business, I thought, I had to do it X, Y, Z in a certain pattern. And if you have a linear brain like I do, it's very hard to come out of that process. Or even if you don't have a linear brain and you feel like you've finally gotten something right, we don't often want to change when we figure out that we've gotten something right. So being willing to be flexible and ask some questions about something when you kind of feel like it's chugging along, that will help you to see what the next phase is. It's kind of like in marketing, when a company brings out a product, like I love to use the example of Coke. So when Coke first brought out their product, the product lifeline for that and the real upsurge of that, it rode for a very, very long time. And when they started to see that started to dip, they came out with a quote-unquote newer version, right? So they've come out with Coke, like different Coke Light, and then they did so many different drafts of that, and now they've gone back to Coke Original. So that you be willing to change up even the most successful thing, be willing to be flexible with it, to give it some new life, and to infuse into your business and in your products and services the next phase of what will really help it to prosper for you. Okay? So that is number 4. Number 5 is, and you may have heard this before, you may not have, and you might think I'm a little crazy, but be willing to be flexible. Oh, sorry, not be willing to be flexible. Yes, I have said that before. Be willing to talk to your business. Talking to your business, when I first heard that, I thought, that is the craziest thing I have ever heard of. And if anybody overhears me, they're going to take me away to the hospital. And it's not the fun hospital. I don't know. Is there a fun hospital? Anyways, be willing to talk to your business. And talking to your business is so much easier than you can imagine. So if you're someone who has ever followed what's fun, let's just say if somebody calls you up and says, hey, Bob, do you want to go skiing? And Bob goes, oh, gosh, no, the idea of skiing doesn't feel like fun to me, right? Well, Bob, would you like to go bowling? Oh, yeah, I love to go bowling. Bowling is like one of the most funnest things I ever do. I love it. So Bob knows right away what works for him and what doesn't. Well, the same concept can be used with your business. So when you're asking your business a question, right? When you ask your business, would this be fun to create with you for us? Your business will give you an energy. Now, if you haven't quite learned how to master reading energy, and it's okay, because you know what? We get there when we get there. If you would, have you ever done sway testing? Where you stand and you ask your body to show you a no, and then you ask your body to show you a yes. You can ask your business a question and ask your body to show you the business's answer. That's one way to do it, all right? Another way is to follow the energy in your body, is to really follow what's going on in your body, right? Your body has the awareness it can give you, and your body is communicating with your business, and your business is communicating with your body. The receiver, i.e. you, perhaps is not receiving it, is not picking up on it. So if you'd be willing to play with that, and if that's something that you would like to learn more of, there is so many amazing people out there that can teach you how to follow the energy on something, especially the business energy. It's phenomenal. Actually, a very dear friend of mine, Carol Glover, does the energy of business, and she's amazing how she can talk to businesses, and I'm sure that she would have something that she can contribute to you as well. So you can connect with Carol, Carol at at firehorse.com. I don't know where Firefox came from. Anyways, all right, on to the next one. So number 6, be willing to add something new to keep it fresh. Now, here's one of the things that I want you to know. And you've probably noticed this with some of the very well-known entrepreneurs in the world, is they don't stick to just one thing. They are willing to add something new, and they love to keep it fresh. What is going on oftentimes with a creative person, so entrepreneurs are very creative. So what's going on with a creative person is they tend to start getting bored. They get bored when they're doing the same thing over and over and over again. So when you are actually willing to add something new to it, to keep it fresh, it keeps you engaged with your business, okay? Now, being willing to add something new or keep it fresh doesn't necessarily mean it's a new service or a product. Maybe it's being willing to change your office around to keep it fresh. Maybe it's being willing to get new business cards. Or maybe it's being willing to put on a new outfit, changing something up to infuse new energy in the business. And again, absolutely infuse that with the part about be willing to be flexible. Because when you're willing to add something new to your business, and you can do that by asking your business. So one of my favorite questions is to ask my business every morning, what would you like me to add to you today? Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that I will specifically add something new to my business, but I'm willing to ask it. And it's amazing the ideas, since I began to do that a couple of years ago, all of the creative ideas that come to me, it's like there were so many years where I thought, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do, because I was looking in my mind and I wasn't actually creating with my business. You know, one of the big things that I would love you to really get from tonight's show is that your business is your partner. And if you see your partner like a dance partner, and you're dancing with your business, or even each of your services is like a different dance partner. So who would like me to dance with them today? And what dance partner would love to join me in my business? If you see it like a dance, it can be so much fun. It can be so much play. So that's one of the really, really big things that I would love for you to see, is that your business is your partner. And I really did go into that deeply in last week's show about your business is not your friend. And I would love for you to check that radio show out, because that one, to me, really invites you in to look at your business in a very, very different way. So we are up to our second break. We're going to go for our second break. When we come back after this break, I'm going to tell you about some of the specials that I have going on, and then we're going to get back into the next one, number 7, right after that. So you are listening to the Inspired Choices radio show with myself, Christine McIver, and we will talk to you right after the break. Stay tuned, everyone.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on the past or what others think. What would our lives be like if we made choices based on what we desire in this moment? By tuning in to Inspired Choices radio show with Possibilities Coach Christine McIver, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to do just that. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to create the life and living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices radio show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is Inspired Choices Radio Show with Possibilities Coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program, call in the U.S. 815-880-8255. In Canada, 613-800-8736, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine@InspiredChoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
All right. Thank you so much for sticking around tonight, everyone. We are talking about 10 ways to make your business more pleasurable. Now, oftentimes I've referred to a few different things that I do, and I just celebrated my 9 years in business. And because of that, I put together some pretty cool packages that might actually bring more pleasure and ease to your business. So the very first one I want to tell you about is my business examination consultation. That is regularly $250 to spend a one-on-one hour session with me, and I have it on special right now, 70% off. You can get that for only $77. Now, of course, all the links to all of these specials will be in the replay of this show, and you can also go over to my website, inspiredchoices.ca, to check them all out. The second package that I want to tell you about is the pleasure of business. So I was telling you that that's 24 weeks that we get together weekly. You can actually get those recordings, so not joining me live, but get those recordings, which are the audios and the videos, an hour each, 24 hours, and amazing notes, 3 or 4 pages nearly of every single week, where you will see us walk you step by step through so many different platforms, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, Canva, you name it. We go through all sorts of different things. We talk about all sorts of different subjects. That is a value of $3,600. You can get this now for only $777. That's a huge, huge discount. And you will have that, all of those recordings forever that you can go back to and look at and learn again and again at your own pace. And the final offer is what I call the Business Synergy Sweep. So I come in and I work with you one-on-one going through your entire business, having one-on-one conversations with you, doing strategic planning, looking at your targets, what's working, what's not working. That is on for 50% off. It's regular $3,000. You can get that for only $1,500. Now that is going to the first 10 people. And after that, the prices are going back up because that's going to keep this girl busy. But if you don't even want to have to do a lot of this piece, I'm willing to jump in and work with you and do that, as your partner in getting all of these things lined up for more and more pleasure for you. So those are some offerings. If you're interested, or even if you just have a question, feel free to contact me. My email is christine@inspiredchoices.ca. All right, so back to our list, our 10 pleasurable ways. Now, do any of these things that I've listed so far, if you're listening live or you're in the chat room, I'd love to hear your feedback. Do any of these things that I've listed so far, the first 6, do they sound like they would create more pleasure, or do they just sound like work? What's coming up for you guys? I would love to hear from you. So while I'm getting some feedback in the chat room, I'm going to go on to number 7. And number 7, you may tell me to go pound salt, and I'm totally fine with that. But number 7 is deal with your personal development. Deal with it so you can allow your business not to be affected. Now, Christine, what the hell does that have to do with business? Well, if you are an emotional wreck, if you are dealing with anger, if you're dealing with sadness, if you're dealing with resentment, if there's anything going on in your personal development that needs your attention, you will bring that energy over to your business. Now, say what you will. You may think that you can keep things separated, but truthfully, if there's something aching to be looked at, it is extremely difficult for it not to bleed into your business, okay? For it not to put you into a reactive mode at different points in your business life. It can impact your choices, your decisions. It can impact your financial flow, the receiving. Right? What is it in your personal life that needs your attention? Be willing to do the deep work so your business can support you in moving forward. Wait a second. We've got something in the chat room. Okay, so Faye says, I feel like if I write the top 10 list down so I can look at it every day, it will help me to stay on track and have more pleasure with my business. How cool is that, Faye? I just absolutely love this. And everybody listening to the show, I actually have a PDF. Just send me a quick email, and I'd be happy to email you that PDF so that you don't actually have to write this all out. You can have it at your fingertips with total ease. So were you thinking of that, Faith? So yeah, when you actually have these things in front of you, whatever it is that you have in front of you, each day will help to remind you about what is important to you. I have things on my wall. One of the biggest things that I have on my wall, and I've had it for a very, very long time, is you can always make another choice. And just that one statement, Christine, you can always make another choice. If I've chosen something and it's not working, boom, that reminds me all the time I can always make another choice. And yes, I can always make another choice. So what is it that you could put up to remind you to have more pleasure with your business? A couple of other things I have in front of me is 3 of these beautiful signs a dear friend made for me. One of them says imagine, one of them says dream, and the third one says inspire. And those are the 3 things that really do speak to me, and they were the things that were the catalyst to me starting my own business. They really, really added to them big time. So, number 8, create teams that work for you. If you are looking to add somebody to your business, if you are looking to, or maybe you've got you've got a lot of to-dos on your plate, and where you want to go requires more hands on deck, create a team that works for you. Maybe working with someone part-time would work best for you. Maybe working with people that are really unconventional would work best for you. Maybe working with somebody that nobody else thinks knows what they're doing. If that's what works for you, be willing to bring that person on and be willing to ask that person what would dance, right? What would dance with you? Yeah, good point. Rhonda says not just physically working for you, but in the ways and the times that work for you. Exactly. So what would your team look like, and how could you create that team that would really work for you and work for them? All right? So, I worked in human resources for many, many years, and the organizations that I worked in were basically, for the most part, 9 to 5 type jobs, 8 to 5, whatever the case may be. But they had those hours very, very set. And for some people, we're moving into a different time where we're willing to look at when people would be most productive, most creative, when they would contribute the most. And when you're willing to look at what would work for that person, and you're willing to be flexible with that, if that person's energy and that person's creativity and contributions would be fabulous for you, what could you do to create it so it would work for both of you? So be willing to ask that person, what would work for you? What makes you when are you most creative? What really inspires you to be more creative? And that is where you can create a team that really works with you, for you, and with your business. So being willing to kind of step outside of that box and honestly see, do I need to have these people in person? Can these people work remotely? Can they work at off hours that I work at? What's the core that I need? When do I need them, right? Be willing to ask lots of different questions. And you may, if you're talking to your business and you even ask your business who would be a contribution to expanding our business, somebody may pop and you may think, they don't do business. Like, why are you showing them that person to me? Be curious. Be willing to have a conversation with that person, because there may be something that they do that's on the down low. They may do stuff that you have no idea about. But if you pass that message by, you may pass a very fabulous contribution to your business. So be willing to create the team that truly works for you. Now, number nine is learn all about the platforms where your customers and clients gather. Learn all about them. So you may have customers and clients that where they gather isn't online. Perhaps your core customers and clients, perhaps they gather at a local event that happens weekly. Perhaps they gather there monthly. Perhaps they gather at a specific location where there's a community aspect to a business, or maybe they gather at a library. Perhaps they gather. Your core clients mainly gather on LinkedIn. Perhaps more of your customer base, if yours is a younger customer base, perhaps they gather on Tumblr or on Twitter. Depending on, and you can do some really easy research when you understand your client base, your customer base, more better. Well, that sounds great. Much better. You can do some very easy research to find out what's the most popular social media platform for people between the ages of X and Y, and for females, unmarried females, or whatever the demographics, whatever the clientele looks like to you. So imagine, and if you've never done that before, just take some time and start asking some questions and just close your eyes and play with it and see what comes up for you. Is it a man? Is it a woman? Is it both? Are they married? Are they single? Do they own their own home? Are they self-employed? Do they have children? Are their children grown? Ask some of those types of questions, and you'll start to narrow down what your customer client base looks like. Now, that doesn't mean that they all have to fall into that category. But what you're trying to do is you're trying to find the platforms where most of your customers and clients gather, and then start to have fun with learning those platforms, whether it's a physical location and learning all about that physical location, gathering all the information you can about that, or it's actually learning a new social media platform. Really dive into all the nuts and bolts that has to do with that. And if that's something you need some assistance with, you can holler. I can assist you with that. You can, I can help you with just one platform or all of them, whatever's popping for you. But that's what you want to do, is be willing to learn about their habits. Be willing to learn about where they go and how they actually dance and play. All right? So we're up to our last break of the night. Wow, this went very, very quickly. When we get back, I'm going to share with you the final way that you can make your business more beautiful, more pleasurable for you. And I'll take any final comments or questions in the chat room as well. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. You are listening to the Inspired Choices Radio Show with myself, Christine McIver. The crazy lady talks about business a lot. We'll be right back right after this commercial break. Stick around.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on the past or what others think. What would our lives be like if we made choices based on what we desire in this moment? By tuning in to Inspired Choices Radio Show with Possibilities Coach Christine McIver, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to do just that. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to create the life and living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices Radio Show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you ready to have pleasure with your business? Yes, I said pleasure with your business. The Pleasure of Business a la carte will surprise you with topics like meet yourself in the boardroom, money, services, and you. Expand your visibility. The pleasure of communication. The pleasure of Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Christine McIver has so much pleasure with business and loves teaching all things business. Beginning a new business? Desiring to expand a current business? Or looking to resurrect a business that has been dormant? This program will get you fired up and bring more pleasure than you have ever imagined. Exhausted with your excuses for not creating a phenomenal business? Join now for all the pleasure with business. Pleasure of Business a la carte gives you total choice for what you desire and what your business requires. That's 24 weeks of different topics to choose from with weekly calls, audio and video recordings, and PDFs. This class will have you dive right in and use tools to create the business that has been speaking to you. Go to inspiredchoices.ca for full details or join the Facebook page Pleasure of Business a la carte. Now is the time for you and your business.
This is Inspired Choices Radio Show with Possibilities Coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program, call in the U.S. 815-880-8255. In Canada, 613-800-8736. Or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine@InspiredChoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you again for sticking around tonight and playing with me. It's a show that I absolutely love to do. So what we are talking about tonight is the 10 ways that you can make your business more pleasurable. Now, this is just 10 ways. There's so many ways that you can make your business more pleasurable, but these are 10 that I really felt are something that when you start to implement these on a daily basis, it can really start to move things forward with you much more quickly in creating a business that really works. So, number 10 is kind of a very big topic and definitely held this one for the last. So, number 10 is be willing to fail beautifully. Be willing to fail beautifully. When you go into your business and you carry in expectations and worry and you carry in all of the thoughts that you've got to get it right and you can't fail, or people will laugh at you, or everything will go down the tubes in the way people look at you, and your credibility will be in the toilet and all the rest of that nonsense. When you do that, you actually set your business up to fail. And I don't mean beautifully. I mean to fail as in there's no energy there. It actually stops it. And I've done it. I've done it. In the beginning, when I was creating my business, I had initially started out with doing my business as human resources. I was going to do human resources consulting. And I did some of that, but when I went into, this is what I went to school for. I invested all this money into being a human resources professional, and what are people going to think? And this is what I've already told people. And I kind of kept pushing this, elephant up the hill to try to create my business in that way. It sucked. It was not fun, and it was not something that started to really generate the joy that I really desired to have. But when you are willing to fail so beautifully that you will, jump out there and you'll put something out there and you'll allow people to laugh and you'll allow people to make fun of it, you can absolutely start to create something in a very, very different way. Think of entrepreneurs out there or inventors. You've heard this a million times, and I know it doesn't feel like it's real because these people weren't in our time, but look at Alexander Graham Bell, right? How many times did that man try to create, and it failed? It failed, but he didn't see it as a failure. He saw it as tweaking. No, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. But he followed his knowing. He knew that something else was possible, and he kept going, and he kept going. One of my very favorite reminders is, oh my gosh, Kentucky Fried Chicken, Colonel Sanders. Colonel Sanders was actually retired, and he had this recipe, and he went out and he knocked on over 100 doors asking if someone would support him to create that business with that recipe. And he got the door slammed in his face 100 times. 100 times. I couldn't even imagine asking 100 people and still having the joy to continue to ask again. But when you know what you know and you're willing to really reach down and dig deep, you can continue to go. And knowing that being willing to fail, it takes so much friggin' pressure off. Because as you take that pressure off, you go, oh, well, I'm going to do this and I might just blow it up, but I'm going to have fun with it, right? When you're willing to do that, that's when you start to discover and you're willing to be in your awareness and receive more information about what else it is and what other ways your business wants to morph and move into. So I really hope that you'll be willing to play with these 10 things and see if they can also bring you more pleasure in your life, bring you more pleasure in your business. And I would love to give you number 11. And number 11 is, and this is what my girlfriend said to me as I was talking to her today about it. Number 11 is, you can just hire me. That'll bring you more pleasure. Take care, everybody.
Thank you for choosing to listen to Inspired Choices Radio Show. Christine McIver will return next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, have the best week of your life by making the choices that bring you all that you desire.